All right, good morning, guys. Back at it with another MLB DFS slate. Yesterday did not treat us well. The slate started at 11:35, so we said forget recording. There's also four games. I lost a total of $2, which is fine. But other contests that I entered and didn't cash, and I think we were like 3 points away from at least min cashing. I'm gonna say this before you say it. Dylan Cease is banned. Even though he's my GOAT, he has looked terrible. I don't even think he got a strikeout to like the third or fourth inning. He was doing okay, but besides strikeouts, but
Yeah, I don't know
um,
what's going on with him. And somehow I was able to profit a good bit yesterday. I'm in cash and I maxed at 25 cents. So that helped like 40 or $50. But, today's slate looks a bit more advantageous for tournaments. No more condensed ownership when you have not a four gamer versus like a 13 gamer or whatever today is. Uh, I will say pitching looks like it sucks. So that'll be fun.
there's like maybe three or four is a stretch, but there's like three people in contention. So let's start with that. So this is what pitching looks like: Alcantara, Joe Ryan, Blake Snell, Descalfani, Kikuchi. I'm gonna say straight up right now, I do not like at least these three. Then it's got Bryce Elder, Stroman, Detmers. Detmers. All right, what do you like so far? Because I only have like maybe two that I like.
I don't like any of it. I really don't. I mean, I like Sandy because he has a long leash. Typically can go past six if he's limiting the damage. Um, Joe Ryan, sure, it's a little steep for his price tag, but the Angels strike out a ton. Minimal ownership, 5 to 10% for him. He's okay if you can get there. Snell at 20%. I'd rather not, but he is playing in a more pitcher friendly ballpark. Boston is typically not as good away from home, I believe. Sure. I think I'd rather go somewhere else rather than 8,900 Snell, usually like 8K Snell. This Sclafani, haven't played him all year, probably won't hear. Bryce Elder, sure. I like him more than who's the rookie on the other side of that game? Oh, Miller.
Bryce
Yeah,
Miller, yeah.
I like him more than Miller. Um, Detmers is sort of interesting. He's getting about 10%. 8,100 is pretty cheap. I like him if you want to fit some top bats. Um, and I don't really like anyone else past that. Kikuchi, no thanks. Stroman, sure. I mean, he's only getting 1% ownership, so that's like a real dart throw. Kopech, no. Perez, no. Carrasco, no.
Hear me out on Kopech.
That's it.
Hear me out on Kopech. I'm just kidding. All right, seriously though, the only bright side on Kopech, well, there's two: Kansas City and his price. But obviously, there's better plays. I'm definitely not going Kopech. Projected for 1%. I might make my own lineup with Kopech for shits and giggles. Alcantara is projecting to be out the best right now, and I like him at 10-4 as opposed to Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan at 11K with a better matchup against the Angels. I understand. I don't under I don't understand this Blake Snell hype. I mean, it makes sense with 8,900 against Boston. Um, Stroman, I sort of like 9,500, only projected for 0.7% ownership. I know Philly can do pretty well, but I mean, Stroman, even though I hate the guy, Stroman's a decent pitcher. Detmers at 81 is interesting, kind of like you were saying. The thing too is it's Minnesota, and Minnesota always screws us over, so this would be a good spot to capitalize having Detmers pitch. I mean, crazier things have happened, but All right, well, that's it for pitchers. This slate sucks unless you got anything else.
No, I mean that's all I see right now.
All right, let's move on to sticks. Let me load this up. So this is what it's spinning out right now. Houston, Texas, Toronto, Chicago, Dodgers, and it kind of drops off. So there's some interesting plays around this area that you can, well, maybe not Detroit, but you can definitely get different with a secondary stack here. But I already know what you're gonna say, your top priority, but take us away.
I mean, it's so hard to get away from Houston right now, which I hate because they're going to be the chalkiest on the slate. I mean, I can't see Bregman under like 30% by the time it locks because he's so cheap. I mean, 3K. Tucker's like still 3,100 playing against the woeful A's. So I get Houston. I like Toronto a bit against Gibson. They're projecting pretty well on Ballpark Pal. And so is the other side of that game. Baltimore looks pretty good against Kikuchi. I like them. I also like the Mets kinda they've shown a bit more fight recently, even though they've been a pretty big slump. They've been squeezing out like these one-run wins. Um, Kansas City against Kopech, just because he's so volatile and can get blown up. They got power, Perez, Pascantino, those guys. I like them. Um,
Unfortunately, I do too.
and then I mean Zach Greinke's on the mound. He has looked more serviceable as of late. I still think he's due to go back to being what he is, which is 40-year-old Zach Greinke. But I guess the White Sox are in play a little bit. But I think I'd rather just condense to Houston, Toronto, Baltimore, and then probably just fiddle around after that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Atlanta against Bryce. I know Bryce Miller is like 9,900. He's had like three starts, and I believe they're all over 40 fantasy points. He looks like Atlanta looks good. Baltimore looks good against Kikuchi. Hmm. There was like another, I can't remember who I said. Oh, this one is more of a dart throw. Cleveland against Carrasco. Carrasco is like giving up a bunch of hits and a bunch of power, and Cleveland never strikes out. I mean, look at Cease yesterday. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can definitely get to a few bats and be very different. While you were talking, I looked up ownership between Toronto and Atlanta. So Austin Riley projected for 17, Acuna 16, Springer 16, Varsho 14. I think Vladdy's back today, 13. Matt Olson 8, Bichette 8, Albies 5, Chapman 5, Harris 5. So you can definitely get a little different with those stacks. Definitely, you got to go Houston here. You know, Bregman, Pena, Yordong, maybe even like Ches McCormick. Pretty much almost anyone is in play for them, in my opinion. I've
I
never
just,
heard. Sorry, what's up?
oh, I was just gonna say, I just don't see a way of like full fitting them if you're like single entry like us. Like even if you want to get away and just play like a two-man, you got to have some piece of
Mhm.
Houston. I mean, what are the odds that they score like under three today? Pretty slim, I think. So some Houston for sure.
I've also never heard of Carl Kaufman, the pitcher for Colorado. So Texas looks pretty decent here as well. You know, your usual Simeon Seager back. Seager's
Yeah, from when yeah, I think he came back two games ago.
so Seager, Simeon. You can probably get some cheap bets there too. They might be a little high owned on that end, but you know what? Why don't we check real quick?
He's
Seager's
pretty
projected
cheap.
for Seager's at 3K, Christ. Projected for 21%. Simeon 11. Nate Lowe 10. Adolis Garcia 6. So yeah, you can definitely get a little different there. I know they're supposed to be like the second chalkiest stack, but I mean you can definitely get a little different there. Cal Quantrill facing the Mets. I can see a couple Mets guys getting there too, but you know, if we were to do, let's just say like a 4-2-2 with like maybe Houston, Toronto, and like Baltimore, that should be good enough. These are just other options instead of going like Houston, Texas, Toronto.
Yeah, the good thing
Greinke's the
about this
righty.
massive slate is because I mean the ownership just won't be as condensed, so I won't worry about it too much besides Houston's bats. Maybe some Texas bats. Like you said, Seager is projecting about 20%, but other than that, don't really see any major chalk, to be honest.
Can St. Louis put up 16 runs against the Dodgers again?
That was absurd. It's like what,
Dude,
7 home runs?
my after hours lineup had 161, was projected like 112. Basically, I had Cortez, Muncy, Volpe, Judge. Judge got robbed of like 2 home runs. He should have had two, but I wasn't watching the game at that point. And then I like saw something on Twitter, but and then Arenado. Those are like my big bets. Just 2x, just to get a little bit of money back. Is Greinke a righty?
Yeah.
Go with maybe a couple lefty bats or maybe Berger or Robert from the White Sox if you like them today against 40-year-old Greinke, who's somehow still in the league. Definitely good there. I wouldn't really prioritize the White Sox because they're the White Sox, but um, you want to do lineup generator first or home runs?
We can do home runs first.
All right, start us off.
I'm gonna go with Ryan Mountcastle as my first guy. He should have hit one out yesterday, hit the foul post. Then he popped out like 4 straight times, so that was fun. Gonna go Kyle Tucker. He looks pretty good here. Decent price tag. Like him to go yard. And Salvador Perez against Kopech.
So I'm going with my first one from the early slate. I'm gonna go Rizzo. Played him in my after hours lineup, and he went 0 for 4, but he's due. I'm gonna go Alex Bregman, who made us a shitload of money a few nights ago, or he made us cash, I should say. And then my last one, I'm gonna go Santander from Baltimore. Okay. So, final thing. We've been doing this more recently. This is what, day like 5 or 6, something like that. So, MLB DFS generator for DraftKings and Fanduel. I'll put the link in the description to get started on this. This helps so much. Even sometimes just finding optimal lineups and going from there, definitely worth it. What are we doing today?
Let's go 4-2-2 with how big the slate is. Let's go balanced. And we can skip. I don't really have a strong lock right now.
I had a feeling this was going to be shitty when I saw Disco Fani. So
It's got the bats you want.
yeah, definitely. So
I don't.
Mets,
I'm
Texas,
not
and
playing Starling Marte. He's washed.
Morel, who's been on fucking fire,
The hottest bat of the last 3 weeks.
overrated as fuck. Bro is in like AAA, and then
You'll have
just
to scroll
comes to
down to
the
the 2,800 range, I believe. Anyone in our stacks? No Mets, no Houston, no. Yeah, I guess you can just take one off Spring. No, click Hayes.
All right, so we got him in there. Well, this is interesting. So I think we got to put, what is it today? The $7.77. This will definitely be different.
Yeah,
Brett Beatty. Damn. All right, so we're playing this. Projection do not account for swapped players. The fuck?
it's because you
Whatever. I
swapped.
don't.
It's
Yeah.
not gonna adjust the bars.
Well, this is what it was at before we put in Hayes. So, all right. Well, there's $7 down the drain. Yeah, who knows? Disco finally can go for like 75. I think that's it. You got any last final thoughts or anything?
No, I mean, pitching kind of sucks. I might end up paying down and just hoping none of these guys go for 50. If I do pay up, it'd probably be for Sandy, just hoping for the high floor. Um, and then prioritize Houston, some Rangers, Toronto, maybe some KC, and then Baltimore. And make sure to check out our lineup. It'll be about 15 before lock. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to check out Stochastics tools in our description.